The following program contains adult language, poor taste in jokes, racial slurs, political slurs, slants, and all sorts of things that, if you are sensitive and have a delicate constitution, you should probably go watch Teletubbies. You were warned.
Hey kids, welcome back to Roto Talk.
Hey kids, welcome back. Here we are, the boat build, the SS, Super Sports, ZippKits. Oh, what a day. This day has been fun. Anyway, we're going to do the interior sealing. And we'll probably seal the bottom side of the top deck as well. Man, I'll tell you what, little Debbie, that chick, my girlfriend when I was a kid, man, she was hot. Got good food, she could cook. Okay, so, I've said this in videos before, other build videos, other types of stuff. I do not use sealing epoxy like West Systems. I use clear coat. It's the old school way of doing it. It's lighter, it's cheaper, I like it better, blah, 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 blah. That's what I use. So the stuff that I use is Acme. Sounds like a Bugs Bunny thing. I use a medium hardener, FH612 and FC720. I usually buy it off Amazon. It's like $80 a gallon. And you get more than a gallon. And I use it for my actual clear coating as well. But the important part about sealing a boat is you're basically waterproofing it. You don't want the boat to absorb any water. If it does, it's going to rot. No matter how well you drain it, no matter how well you dry it, you have to have it sealed on the inside. Outside, I mean, you need it sealed on the outside too, but not quite as... You can wipe off the outside if you had to. But you have to... Water's going to sit on the inside. Okay, it's going to sit in these cracks, crevices, whatever else. So this one doesn't take a ton. Normally the clear coat that I use is a 4-to-1 mix, so four parts clear coat, 1 part hardener. I usually do, when I do this stuff, I usually make it 3-to-1. It's okay, it'll do fine. Use it in a well, if you use what I use it in a well ventilated area, which mine is not right now, but when we go to do it and mix it up, I'm going to turn off my heater. You don't want an open flame. This stuff's stupid flammable. Not that it would probably blow up, but still, you're going to get ripped off your butt. High as a kite, and it's not the good kind. So it's just going to give you a headache. So the important part here is to really get in to the nose of the boat. Okay? Very, very, very important. I have actually, when I've been outside, or have, like, say, I'm building a boat and it's summertime and it's real nice out, what I'll do is I'll literally pour some of my clear coat in the bow and tilt it so it runs in and really coats everything else. Because once you get this deck on, you're not getting that nose sealed. So now is the time. If you've built the radio box for this boat, seal it as well. Mix it once and do everything if you can. Now, you could also do the outside and seal it that way, too. A couple different schools of thought on that. I've done boats where I've sealed them with West Systems finishing epoxy. Works great if that's what you want to do. You seal the outside, you sand it, then you paint it, and you prime it, you paint it, you clear coat it. I've done it where I've clear coated the outside first, which is usually what I do. I'll shoot it with clear coat, then I'll sand it with a real nice fine sand. And then I'll prime, paint, and clear coat again. But right now we're doing the inside. So we're going to do the bottom of the top deck sheet. It's not on the boat yet. I'm not going to do that on video. Waste of time. Pick the nicest side of your top sheet. That's going to be your top. Okay? And then seal the bottom. Just like we're going to seal the inside. No big deal. Again, if you've done the radio box, if you're building the stock wooden radio box, seal that. And then we're going to seal the inside of this guy. So, a lot of times what I will do is I'll take an epoxy brush, because I use these Harbor Freight 1-inch chip brushes. I buy a box of the 1 inch and a box of the 2 inch. I don't like the way I said box, okay? But anyway, at Harbor Freight. Now you can reach most of it, but what I'll do is I'll take one of these guys, I'll double crimp it, and I just bend it like that, and then we can really get up there and get that bottom edge, okay? And I do the edge last usually. So what we're going to do is we're going to mix up a Dixie cup full of this stuff and then just brush the crap out of it. But I need to turn off my heater, open a little bit of an air vent in here, and I'll be right back. All right, so for those of you that watched the Cracker build, much bigger boat on the inside than this boat is. So what we're going to do, we don't need as much clear coat. So you can measure this, that's fine. But I'm just doing about 1/4 of a cup. This is still going to be too much. That's okay. Okay, 3 to 1. Now, that's what I do. You can still just mix it 4 to 1. It's fine. Doesn't matter. 3 to 1 is just going to cure a little quicker, be a little, no big deal. Okay. Do whatever you want. Now, I do have somewhat of a ventilation in here. It's not great, so we're going to make this quick. And then 3 parts of that at 1/4. And then there we go. Mix it in the boat. That way if it spills, at least... no. Don't mix it in the boat. Alright. Simple. Nothing heavy here. Now, you want to make sure you get every piece of wood. Everything that's exposed. Excuse me. You want to waterproof everything. Now, what I do suggest you do is after you brush, this can go fairly quick. That's way too much clear coat, by the way. And I would measure it. Take one of these little measuring cups I told you guys to get off Amazon and just measure it out that way, because you don't need this much. That's a complete waste. I'm not going to use that much at all. Okay. So then, what I would suggest you do on a small boat like this is reasonably small for a gas boat. Go ahead and do it. Give it 10-15 minutes and then do it again. But you want to do the top rails. Try and get in the seams as best as you can. If it pulls up a little bit, it's not a big deal. It will cure. Very simple. Now, the trick to this, and this is something that I have a hard time with sometimes, I'm not going to lie. Be patient.
All we need is just a little patience.
Okay? Patience with this, you only get one shot at this. You put all this work into building this boat. Why let it rot? Okay? Make sure you get both sides of the engine rail. Make sure you get your throw rod. Okay. Let it drip. It's okay. This is very fluid stuff. It's not like epoxy. It's very viscous. Right? Make sure you want to get the sides real well. Move the boat around. Make sure you get the front and back of the bulkheads. And that is the main reason, I'm going to tell you right now, why you do 2 coats. It's not really because you need 2 coats of clear coat to seal it. It's because you've probably missed some when you were doing it. That's all there is. Now what I will do is I'll go around the underside edge right here after we're done. And I will do that special. Even though I'll try to hit with the brush. I mean, if you want to, go ahead. No big deal. But I take that epoxy brush we just bent, and then I make sure that undersided edge is good and sealed. Because think about it, upper edge under here fails and rots on you, gets soft and nasty, your top's going to pop. And that's not a good day at the zoo at all, you know. All right. So, don't be afraid to use a ton. This stuff is pretty light. Now, if you were using finishing epoxy, like, I don't know if Zap makes any, I think they do. Or if you're using West Systems, that's fine. I'm not a West Systems guy, but a lot of people are. Doesn't mean I'm right or wrong or indifferent. This is just how I do it. You add a lot more weight with epoxy. But, hindsight, I don't think it seals any better. Personally, I think it doesn't seal as well. Because this is so, the viscosity of this is so thin that I just don't, I don't think West Systems or anything like that's going to seal as well. This is like using super fuel and waterproof Minwax, only it's not Minwax, obviously. Now, the nice thing about epoxy is it will, this is not epoxy, but the nice thing about epoxy is it will add a little bit of strength, which I don't think is needed. I mean, if you built your boat right, it's going to be fine. But it adds a lot more weight. This is like, you can see, I'm halfway done with the boat, and I've hardly used not much at all. But it does get a little rich in here, smelling.
Phew. This ain't exactly a flower garden, is it?
If you want to use a respirator, I don't think it's necessary when you're brushing it, as long as you're in a ventilated area. But it does reek. Do not do this in the house. Unless you want to be single. You know, your old lady kick your ass out fast. Okay, I'm telling you. This is nasty shit. If you're spraying it, please, please, please use a respirator. It's nasty stuff. Kill you faster than a bullet.
Is it really worth the price? I pay it gladly.
Now, the trick to this Super Sport is make sure you get everything in the nose really, really good. That's the trick. Now, you do not have to do the ups, you know, the top edges, because we're going to sand those anyway. We're going to be sanding those to make everything fit well. I'm going to use an epoxy brush to get farther up the nose. Don't bother sealing the top. Like these top edges and all this stuff, we're sanding all that down tomorrow. So we don't need to seal it, because you're just going to be ripping it off anyway. So I missed this one. Double check. Here's something I always miss is the sides of the bulkheads. Always. I always screw that up. It's like, oh, it's dry, it's dry. Make sure you get everything, because you get one big old, you miss the spot, guess what happens? Water to a boat, odd as it may sound, is kind of like a cancer. I'm not kidding, because if it starts rotting, it doesn't matter how well you sealed it. It'll rot from the inside out. Now, it's going to take years to do that. It's not something that's going to happen overnight. The other problem with absorbing water with a boat, and also, by the way, seal the fiberglass. The part that we reinforced, seal it anyway. Okay, the other part that's bad about taking on water and absorbing water, a lot of people don't think about, oh, my boat's going to rot, my boat's going to fall apart. Yeah, it will. But the problem, other problem, your boat will start gaining weight. Oh yeah, that's 10 years of marriage right there, man. That thing, more water's what, 7.2 pounds a gallon or something, maybe more. I don't even remember now. Maybe I'm thinking metric. But the more water you absorb, the heavier this boat's going to be. And if you're running your boat and it's just running awesome for the first few times you run it, and all of a sudden it's like trim characteristics start changing, and it's like, man, it seems heavier in the nose, seems heavier in the ass, we're really running a wet hull. Guess what? A fun thing to do is to weigh your boat. And then then give it a good running. Wait a few days, leave it out in the sun, let it dry real well. And then weigh it again. Anything that can evaporate, you want evaporated out. Because, of course, you're always going to get water in your boat. And it's just a fact of life. But if it gained a pound, and you're like, how did it gain a pound? You took on water and absorbed it. Now, what can you do if that happens? Not a hell of a lot, honestly. You can try to reseal it. Take the flotation out, or do whatever you need to do. Try to reseal it. But now, again, like I said, you can always wait 10 minutes and just do this whole process again. 10 minutes is the flash time of most clear coat. Okay? And what that'll do is it'll just kind of make it a little bit spongy, and you can go over it again. I just kind of keep going. I don't really time it. I'm going to try to get these upper edges a little bit with the big brush. Save some time. Okay. And then whatever excess you have just runs off. The other thing that's really handy about using this stuff versus West systems is you can be a little bit more crazy with it because you're not adding tons of weight, right? But the nice thing is it will fall or sink into these seams, and it makes a better seal. You're going to be more watertight. But the bad thing about using this is it stinks to high heaven. It smells good at first. If you're like me, I used to build motorcycles and stuff when I was a kid, and I was used to automotive body paint. It's I miss that smell, napalm in the morning type of crap. But it gets old quick. So using it in a ventilated area is the biggest thing. So I'm going to take this epoxy brush. I'm just going to go in. So you can't be too thorough with this process. I'm going to take another brush. It's a straight one. Now, what I'll do when we're done here is I'm going to take this boat outside. I will do this off camera, and I will probably throw a little bit in the nose and just tilt it up and kind of squish it around a little bit. I want this thing sealed up. Now, another thing I'll do with the nose too, I don't know if you guys can see this, I'll actually put it up on the top. Because we're going to sand it anyway, but that way it'll kind of float down. Okay. Put your brushes off to the side. Here's another tip. See all these? Here's another tip. Don't throw any of your stuff away. Like these brushes we're using, and even the clear coat and stuff, until you're totally done. Because I've done that many times where it's like, I don't need this curved brush anymore. Make sure you get the undersides of the bulkheads too, by the way. It's like, I don't need this curved brush anymore, and you pitch it, and then just end up bending another one. Wait till you're totally done. This stuff will not set up for at least 3 hours. So you don't have to worry about that. Now, if you've got a better application way to do this, by all means, don't use a foam brush. I know that's what a lot of people are thinking. I'll just use a foam brush. This stuff will eat through foam brush. A foam brush like Jaws through tuna. Trust me, you don't want to do that. Foam brushes are not chemical resistant in most cases, at least not that I've seen. Your bare hand works pretty well. Now, where the throw rod is, this top chine, that one's really hard to get to, so you almost have to have a bent brush. Which is probably why they tell you don't put that throw rod in until later. But whatever. Trust me, it's covered. Make sure you got all the undersides of the bulkheads, especially. Okay. Now, I don't know if you can see it in camera, but it's starting to dry up or absorb. I don't know. Let's see. You see that? Okay. So I got a lot left. So I'm gonna do a little bit more. Now you don't want huge pools of it like that. So if you find a huge pool of your sealer in the boat, like where the rails are, you can see it's really puddly, just reabsorb it, move it to the other side. It'll cure. I mean, even if it's puddled up a little bit, make sure you go anywhere that you've done an epoxy seam is susceptible. So make sure, go over all your seams. And then you should be able to just kind of keep going if you do have these mystery puddles here and there until they're gone. Like I got one right there. So I'll just keep kind of spreading the joy.
Sell crazy someplace else. We're all stocked up here.
Like I said, be patient with this process. This process here, right here, guys, is what makes your boat last. You can have the nicest build in the world or the shittiest build in the world. Does not matter. How much time and effort and how careful you are epoxying things and how careful you are doing this and how beautiful of a paint job and sanding you did. If you do not do this process correctly or thoroughly, it's all for naught. Okay. Now, what I do suggest you do, I usually don't, I'm not going to lie, because I'm pretty thorough at sealing these things, is wait till it totally cures. Wait till tomorrow, and then do it again. I don't. But again, the reason for 2 coats is usually just to make sure you didn't miss anything. Okay. And I am going to do the top. Okay. Let's grab that real quick. Now, I'm still going to be sealing the outside of this boat separately. So I'm just worried about the 2 big parts tonight. So this is the bottom side of my top deck, and I'm just going to literally do it over the boat, because why not? Not going to hurt anything. What are you going to do? Get some extra sealant on your hull. It's alright. As soon as this is done, I'm getting the hell out of this stinky ass workshop. And like I said, in the summertime, I usually do this outside. I really do. This stuff's pretty tight. I turned off my heater, got the garage cracked open 6-7 inches. Fine. And this stuff, if you do get drips, which is pretty rare with this, really, but if you get something that's really ugly, you can sand it real easy by hand. Like if it drips off this edge into the boat, it's not a big deal. Okay, because what we're going to do is we're going to, after this top skin, bottom side is sealed. After it's nice and dry, we're going to sand it. We're going to knock it down with 150 or something like that. Give it a little bit of texture, and it actually will have texture even without sanding it, but you still want it to bite into the wood a little bit. Now, one thing I do try to get away from, try not to get air bubbles. Like if you get big old zit air bubbles on there, because, I mean, you're going to sand it down anyway a little bit, but it just makes it that much trickier. There we go. I think we're about done. Now, like I said, if you did the radio box, go ahead and clear coat that. Okay. We can just set this somewhere. And you know, like I said, if you wanted to do this just to get it down that edge, you could. It doesn't matter though, if you think about it, because you're going to sand this edge down to put the top on. It's going to be bare wood, but then you're going to cover it again with epoxy, so it's going to get sealed. All right, if you do your job right. But definitely anything that's vertical, like these engine rails, bulkheads, those are the things that people usually miss. It's like, oh, I did the bottom, I did the under edge, because that's just what the obvious stuff is. That's really about it, I think. I don't think we've got anything else. I like to get that nose real saturated. Now, clear coat fires or flashes in 3 hours, to the point where you can manhandle it pretty good. But if you have pooling, like I have here, bad day. It's going to take longer than 3 hours. So I'm trying to get some of it out. I mean, it's okay. I'm not touching this thing till tomorrow afternoon anyway, so it doesn't matter. So I just kind of squeegee the brush off a little bit, run it through the puddle again. You could even take paper towels if you want, because I am probably going to paint the inside of this boat. I'm so sad. I ordered silver and yellow because I wanted the inside to be silver, and they came back and they credited my account saying they couldn't get the yellow. Nobody has it. So I got the can of silver. So this might be a silver and black, but I haven't decided yet. All right, that's really about it. So let her cure, let her set up, and you're sealed up, at least the inside. So until tomorrow, kids, keep dry side up. Bye.
Shout out.